Hello world, greetings from this end. My name is Paul Oberefo, and in anticipation to our short series, we're excited to be kickstarting today with Olive Okapu on the fundamentals of cloud computing at the very surface, right? So we're excited to have Olive aboard to take us through this session, as we hope to be reporting here as often as possible with updated version of our previous classes. So here we are. Oliver Kapu, over to you, and thank you for having you here with us this time.
All right. Thank you very much, Paul. Thank you for having me too. I'm really so excited. I don't know if I'm the only one, but I'm sure you two are. Okay, so we'll be starting, just like you said, with the basics of cloud computing. And please, I would love to share my screen. Please permit me to share my screen.
Sure, please. Go ahead.
All right, thank you. Okay, so thank you very much once again. So before I start proper into what cloud computing is all about, okay, so I want to say or tell you all a little story before we start the definition of cloud computing. So let's kick off. Once upon a time, there was a company called Olive World Limited. They were doing really well. They had a growing number of customers, plenty of information, and their own IT team. But there was one big challenge. Everything they did, everything they operated on, everything they did was in their office, from their office building. Inside our office, there was a large, noisy server room, the kind with blinking lights, cables everywhere, and a constant humming sound, the sound that comes out from a server room. But that was a bit light, a bit heavy. So they had powerful machines that stored their data and ran their applications. It looked impressive, but it came with a lot of problems. So their servers had to be kept cool 24/7. So the air conditioners were always on. The IT staff spent hours maintaining the servers. They replaced parts, they fixed the cables, and sometimes they stayed overnight just to make sure nothing went wrong with the whole setup. And whenever the company wanted to grow, whenever they wanted to maybe open a new branch, they had to add um, a new server, and that required them buying a new one. So those servers would take weeks or even months to arrive. And when they finally did, the IT team had to install, wire, and configure everything manually. It was stressful, it was expensive, it was not flexible at all. Then one evening, something happened. A heavy storm hit the city. There was lightning, thunder, and suddenly, boom, the power went off. It went out, rather. So when the lights came back on, their servers had crashed, their websites was down, customers could not make orders, and employees could not even access the company's data. Everything stopped. The next morning, the CEO called an emergency meeting. He looked really frustrated and said, "We can't keep doing this every time. We can't. Because anytime we have a power issue or hardware failure, the whole company suffers. There has to be a better way." Everyone was silent in the meeting, except for one person, the IT manager. Slowly raised his hand and he said with a smile, "Sir, there is a better way. It is called cloud computing." The CEO frowned a little. "Cloud computing? What's that? Do you mean storing things in the sky?" He joked, and everyone laughed. But the IT manager explained, "Instead of buying and maintaining all these physical servers ourselves, we can rent computing resources from companies like Microsoft Azure, Amazon Web Services, or Google Cloud. They already have powerful data centers all over the world. We can just pay for what we use when we need it." The CEO leaned forward. "So we won't have to buy all these machines anymore?" he said. "Exactly," the IT manager replied. "No hardware, no constant maintenance, no sleepless nights. We can scale up or down anytime. And if one server fails, our data is still safe because the cloud makes backup copies automatically." The room went quiet. Everyone was thinking the same thing. This was the solution that they have been waiting for. And that's how Olive World began their journey into the cloud. They moved their servers online, started using cloud storage, started using virtual machines, and before long, their business became faster, more reliable, and more efficient. So that's the story of how a simple problem led to one of the biggest innovations in the modern technology, which is cloud computing. So I hope you all enjoyed my storytelling. So now we'll be going into the focus for today, which is cloud computing. All right. So this is an introduction to cloud computing, simplifying the cloud powered by Microsoft Azure, presented by. Now, as I said, I don't know if I mentioned, this class is for, or this session is for beginners, and you don't need any technical experience to know or to learn. So what is cloud computing? Cloud computing means using the internet to access computing resources, such as storage, applications, or servers, instead of owning them. So it's simply the delivering of on-demand computing services, which includes storage, servers, network, database, email, application over the internet on a pay-as-you-go basis. So what does this mean? You won't have to, just like the story I told earlier, you won't have to buy all these things physically. You can access them from the cloud. And the cloud, just like the CEO mentioned jokingly, is not the sky. The cloud is a data center. There's a big data center, a big building with all these servers located at a different location, and they are networked together and can be accessed over the internet. So this big building of data of servers, which is called the data center, which is located in a different place, is owned by people that are called cloud providers. They are called cloud providers. So we can just rent what they already have and use it anyhow we want. And it's also a pay-as-you-go basis, so you can use it on demand. If you do not need a particular service, you do not need to get it. You just use only what you need, and you pay for only what you need. So think of it this way: you are renting technology services from providers like Microsoft. So Microsoft is one of the cloud providers, instead of building them yourself. Okay. So now let's look at an everyday analogy. So imagine electricity. We all have electricity in our home. We all use lights. So you don't build your own power station. You just connect to the national grid and pay for what you use. So this is like an example. So Azure provides computing power and services on demand. Also, think of Netflix. We all have, most of us, I won't say all, we all have Netflix application on our phones. So we don't need to download every movie. It has given us the opportunity to stream. Whenever we want to watch any latest movie, just go onto Netflix. For example, the movie that was everywhere, To Kill a Monkey, or if I'm right. So you can just go there, stream when you want to stream, and that's it. So Azure works similarly, offering apps, data, and resources whenever you need them. So core areas of cloud computing, we have 5 pillars that make cloud computing powerful, and Azure excels at all. So this I'll be listing now, just like when I say there are also benefits, yes, of cloud computing. So we have number 1, on-demand self-service, instant deploy virtual machines or apps on Azure. So what's this saying? You can, just like I mentioned earlier, it's an on-demand service. Whenever you need it, that's when you deploy it. That's when it can be deployed for you. If you do not need it, you don't need to deploy it. So you only pay for what you need. So broad network access, accessible from anywhere. So now this cloud computing is accessible from the internet, and we know that this internet is accessed from anywhere. So wherever you are, you can access it. So I almost say, you agree with me, Paul, that cloud computing is one of the services that brought about working from home, right?
Yeah, definitely. That is a remote work.
Yes.
Makes work more flexible. Yeah, sure.
Exactly. Thank you very much. So we have number 3, which is resource pooling. Azure data centers serve millions securely. So they have a pool of resources, a pool of different kinds of resources, and these resources are used to serve millions of people securely. So rapid elasticity, it scales from 10 to 10,000 users instantly. So it has this elastic nature. It can stretch, it can go back. That's why I said from 10 to 10,000 users. Then measured service, you only pay, just like I've been saying, pay only for what you use. Only pay for what you use. So cloud service models. Cloud service models. So these are the cloud service models. We have infrastructure as a service, we have platform as a service, and we have software as a service. So before I dive deep into the explanation of each of them, I want to say a little, I'll give a little example. So just imagine now that you want to start your bakery shop. You want to start baking. You need, of course, you need a building. You need where you are going to start the business. You need your tools. You need an oven. You need power. You need water. Okay, so now just imagine you want to start and you are giving. You don't even need to hustle on and start looking for building. You're giving a building. You're giving power. You're giving the plumbing stuff, that's your water and every other necessity you need. So let me just say you're giving building, you're giving electricity, which is power, and you're giving the water or other things you use, just maybe building and water and electricity. So this is infrastructure as a service. Let me put it that way, because you need to, everything you believe in that building, you are the one to decide it. If you want to buy the biggest oven, it's left to you. Anything you want to do is left to you to do in that building that you are already given. Okay, so you just rented only the building, you just rented electricity and water, but every other thing you're doing in that building is your own control. You are the one controlling it. Then the second analogy, which is for platform as a service, is okay, you want to start a baking business. You're giving the building, you're giving water, electricity, you have everything set up already, the oven, everything you will need, the tools, everything is there for you to use. So what you're just going there to do is to, if you want to bake bread, it's just for you to bake bread. You put all your focus should be on the taste of the bread, how you're going to make it. Do you want it fluffy? Do you want it hard? Do you want it soft? Okay, so that's how you make it and ensure the taste comes out well. So that's platform as a service. So that's the whole environment for everything to come out well is already set up for you. So what you just need to do is to put your whole energy in baking and bringing forth sweet delicious bread, meat pie, or whatever you're going to be baking. So that's why I said platform as a service, because platform as a service has given you the environment for your applications to thrive. So that's just you renting, or that's just you having to deploy applications. Your own is just to deploy, build, and test applications without worrying about hardware or any of the underlying infrastructure. Yours is just to make sure the applications, the coding, and everything is correct, and the application is fine. Then for software as a service, okay, let's say you do not want to bake. You don't want to bake. You just want this baby girl lifestyle. You don't want to stress yourself. You just want this treatment, sweet treatment. You're not stressing yourself. You're just going to be enjoying the bread. They're going to be delivering the bread to you. You're eating it, enjoying yourself. So that's software as a service, because the applications are already ready, like they're already made for you to just do whatever you want to do on them. So this is use applications directly online. So examples of this software as a service, we have Microsoft 365, we have our Gmails, we have Outlook, we have Teams, we have Power BI. So infrastructure, let me repeat, the infrastructure as a service is you just rent Azure virtual machines, storage, and network. Then you are going to be in charge of the operating system. You're going to be in charge of every other thing you need for your company to run smoothly. Then for platform as a service, is the environment for building and testing your applications is already laid. That the infrastructure is given to you. You don't need to worry about anything. Just build and test your apps. Then for software as a service, you use the applications directly online. And most times, in short, all the times, these applications are accessed over the internet. There should be an internet for you to be able to access all the applications that were made for you. So this is the cloud shared responsibility models. So what do I mean by cloud shared responsibility models? So now in these three service types I listed earlier, which is software as a service, platform as a service, infrastructure as a service, we know that, okay, in these services, the cloud providers are responsible for some parts of it, and also you, as the customer, you're responsible for some part of it. So this just shows us what the customer is responsible for, and what Microsoft, the cloud provider, is responsible for, and what both of you are responsible for. So you can see here, information and data. Responsibility always retained by the customer. We have responsibility varies by type. Responsibility transfers to cloud provider. So we see that this color is for the Microsoft, this color for customer, and these two mixed for shared. So we have information and data for software as a service. The information and data, of course, will be managed by the customer. The devices, of course, mobile and PCs, will be managed by the customer. The accounts, of course, and identities will be managed by the customer. Identity and directory infrastructure is shared, managed by both parties. Then for the rest, which is applications, network controls, operating system, the physical hosts, physical network, physical data center, these are all managed by the cloud provider. Then for the platform as a service, the information and data managed by the customer, the devices managed by the customer, the account and identities, yes, they are the responsibility of the customer. Then for the identity and directory infrastructure, which means the identity of, okay, who the user is and what they can access, they are managed by both the cloud provider and the customer. So why these two, why they are shared is because the cloud provider has a part to play in the security or insecurity, yes, of the users. So they are both, that's why it's shared. Then for the applications, platform as a service is shared. For network controls is shared. Then operating systems, physical hosts, physical network, physical data center is by the cloud provider. Then for infrastructure as a service, just like I mentioned earlier, the customer will have to be in charge of every other thing, everything in the environment. It's only physical hosts, physical network, and physical data center that the cloud provider providing for the IaaS. Okay, so for on-prem, like the story I told initially, for on-prem, everything is managed by the customer. So now we'll be going to the cloud deployment models. So we have cloud, we have the public cloud, we have the private cloud, we have the hybrid cloud, and the community cloud. So before I go into these explanations, I want to also give a little analogy. So let's say you're given options on how to get to your office daily. Let's say you work in a company that you work Mondays to Fridays and you need to, maybe should I say, you need to save your money, you need to be you need to think about, okay, what's better way can I use for my transportation? How do I get to the office daily? Then you're given the first option to use your private car, because you have a private car, to use a private car to drive to work every day, to and fro. And remember that this private car, you are in charge of everything, because you have to buy the fuel, you have to you're in charge of the whole management of the car, because if anything happens to the car, of course it's your car, you repair it with your money, the tire and everything. Any scratch, you're going to be the one to bear the costs. Then you have a second option, which is ordering a ride. So ordering a ride, okay, it's very comfortable because you are the only one in the ride, but it's also very expensive. It's also expensive, but not as expensive as using your private car. Then the third option is you having to follow public transports, which is, the cheapest. So for the public cloud, this is the most common type of cloud. Yes, it's the most common because everyone uses Outlook, Microsoft 365, Gmail, everyone uses Teams. So it's public. It's a public cloud. So that's why I said it's the most common type. And in public cloud, computing resources like servers, storage, and networking are owned and managed by a third-party cloud provider and is shared with multiple customers, just like I mentioned earlier. It's shared with multiple customers over the internet. So you don't own the hardware. You don't own it like it's yours, just like the private car analogies earlier. You don't own the hardware. You just rent or subscribe to what you need. So each customer's data and applications are isolated, even though they share the same infrastructure. Okay, so I can also use another analogy just for a better understanding of the public cloud. So just imagine renting an apartment in a large building. So other people also live in the same building, but you have your own private space. So there are lots of houses in that large building, but you rent a particular part of the building. So that's a public cloud. So examples, we have the Microsoft Azure is an example of public cloud. So we have the private cloud. A private cloud is used by one organization, just like I mentioned. It's used by one organization, and the infrastructure can be hosted on-prem in your own data center or by a third-party provider, but it is completely dedicated to your organization. It's completely dedicated to your organization. So this gives you more control, it gives you more privacy, it gives you more security, which is why like banks, government agencies, and large enterprises prefer this private cloud because it's more secure. Okay, so the analogy I'll be giving to this is just imagine owning your own house. You decide everything, the design, the security, and whosoever wants to enter your house. You're the one to decide that. So that's like the private cloud. Therefore, the hybrid cloud, okay. Then for the hybrid cloud, it combines both the public and the private. So it's connected so that they share the data and the application. So it allows organizations to keep sensitive data in a private cloud while using the public cloud for less sensitive operations. For example, a company might want to store confidential customer data in a private cloud, but use the public cloud for its customer-facing web applications. So an example of this is owning a house, which is the private cloud, but also renting a hotel room, which is the public cloud, when you have guests or you need extra space. Therefore, the community cloud, this community cloud is shared by similar organizations, example, government or education. So a community cloud is shared by several organizations that have similar goals, security requirements, or regulations. For instance, hospitals, universities, or government departments might have a community cloud to collaborate securely while keeping the cost low. Okay, so think of it like a gated estate shared by people who belong to the same association. Everyone contributes and benefits from shared resources, but outsiders can't enter. So it's just within the community. So now let's look at the benefits of cloud computing. Okay, so why is cloud computing very important? We have cost efficiency. So it's a pay as you go. They pay as you go, no server room. So you pay for only what you use. What you don't use, you don't pay for it. Unlike on-prem, where you buy in case you want to your business maybe around December period. Maybe if you're into a restaurant business around December or February 14th, when you know that okay, people usually go out, take their lovers out, you have to buy more servers. For example, if you have an online application where customers place orders, book order for food and all of that, you have to ensure that customers are able to access the application very well. You have to avoid maybe any hitch in the network. So you have to ensure that customers access it. So in times like this where the traffic will be very, very much, if you don't have enough servers, it might lead to the crashing of the one that you have that you're managing. So that's why going to the cloud is very important. So there's no server room, it's just a pay as you go. So it can help you scale up and it can help you scale down. So that's why we talk about scalability, increasing resources instantly. So if people are rising by 10% or 100%, whatever, you don't even have to care much because the cloud is scalable. Cloud computing is scalable. So it adds more virtual machines. It reduces the virtual machines. If you don't have a lot of customers during that period, the virtual machines that were added will be reduced. So that's scaling in and scaling out. So we have reliability, 99.9% uptime. So this is should I say disaster recovery redundancy. So the availability rate is quite high, is very, very high. So there's no time for downtime. There's no time for downtime. So even the remaining percent is, let me say, like 45 minutes in a month. That's when okay, there's maybe downtime is allowed. 45 minutes in a month, or just for 45 minutes in a month. So the reliability is top notch, which is 99.9%. Then for security, it's protected by Microsoft's global network. Then accessibility, so work from anywhere. You can work from anywhere. So it's accessible over the internet. So wherever you are, you can access the resources. So Tina's fashion store goes digital with Azure. So before Azure, Tina managed her fashion store manually with one laptop. When the laptop crashed, she lost all customer records. She could only sell to walk-in customers. Inventory tracking was confusing and stressful. So after Azure, her online store runs smoothly using Azure App Service, which is also a platform as a service. And customer and other data are stored securely in Azure SQL database, where information data are stored and managed. Then files and photos are backed up automatically in Azure storage, where files, every of your company's information are stored, which is in the Azure storage. Then Power BI helps her track sales trends and customer preferences. So the results, This resulted into more sales for Tina's fashion store. It's resulted into zero data loss and smarter decision making. So common cloud providers. So we have Microsoft Azure, virtual machines, Microsoft 365 AI, hybrid friendly. We have Amazon Web Services, AWS, compute storage databases. We have GCP, Google Cloud Provider, data analytics, App Engine, and Azure stands out for integration, security, and global reach. So these are the key takeaways. These are the key takeaways so far. So cloud, internet-based computing power, Azure, Microsoft's world-class cloud platform. It's a pay only for what you use service. It's accessible, scalable, and secure. Azure supports everything from small businesses to global enterprises. So a quick quiz. Azure is an example of what? Is it an example of software or cloud platform? So Azure is an example of a cloud platform. True or false? Cloud computing can also be accessed from one device. Is it true? Should I say true, Paul?
No, of course, it can't be true. It can't be true.
Okay, so which model describes Microsoft 365? Is a software as a service.
Software as a service. You have the answer so already.
Yes, right.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's all from me to you. Thank you very much for your time. So do you have questions or thoughts? Okay, so Paul, do you have contributions, something to add to everything I've said about cloud computing and Microsoft Azure being one of the cloud providers?
No, not really. Thank you very much, Olivia. It's really nice to answer you. So I said cloud computing in summary can be seen as internet, provided you have internet wherever you are, means you can access resources. Thank you very much for this info breakdown, and we hope to meet again, right?
Yes, sure.
Okay, makes sense. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, everyone. You can also drop your questions if you have any question, and we're there to answer you. Then you can also share if you have anything you want to say about Microsoft Azure, how you can power your world. You can still drop in the comment section.